Hello, welcome to the Politics and Society slideshow. Most students would have had a class in Politics and Society in fourth year, so I'm just going to go through some of the finer details of the subject. The first thing about Politics and Society is for everyone to realise that it's an opinion-based subject that people are encouraged to form opinions, but they're encouraged to form informed opinions where they read about topics, where they understand topics, and then they come to a conclusion based on a wide um, knowledge base. And it is not for empty vessels shouting at one another. The content that we look at is very, very interesting. We look at power and decision making structures. We look at them first off very locally. So we look at them in schools in Ireland, in the education system in Ireland. Then we look at how it works nationally with our local government, with our Dáil, Seanad, Oireachtas, and the president. We look at Northern Ireland, how Northern Ireland is different from everywhere else. We look at the ideologies behind different political parties, be they socialist or be they conservative, green, a lot of different things that will come into our ideologies. We look at capitalism, we look at communism, we look at fascism, we look at the green politics. We'll see how these work in practice. We'll see what our roles are within that of each individual citizen. And the idea is that you'll know a lot about these things and then you'll be informed to be able to change things. How do we affect change? And we'll look at identity and globalization. So we'll see what influences who we are. Like, is it our home? Is it our school? Is it our media, our social media, our friends, our policies, religion? Is it where we're from, who we follow on social media, our football team? Is it Wexford? Is it Ireland? Is it Europe? What is it? How do these things then impact how we look at the world, and like what's important to an individual, what's important locally, nationally, internationally? We look at how globalization has changed the world, how it does affect the world, whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing. And we'll also then move on to talk about human rights and how what human rights are, and then if we have human rights, what are responsibilities that are related to those, and how are they implemented. We look at how they are implemented for young people in Ireland, so the right to education and the United Nations framework on the rights of the child. We'll see how they're policed. We'll see how we can influence them. We see how we can change them. We can see how we can ensure that different people in different parts of the world are able to achieve equal rights internationally and nationally. We'll look at the role of the media and how it impacts on us, like how can we assess what's presented to us, see what influences us, why are certain subjects more important as headlines in the newspaper, what comes up in our algorithm, what influences our algorithm when we're on social media, and uh, are these news sources trustworthy? Why are they trustworthy? Why aren't they trustworthy? If I'm listening to a person and they're talking about maybe a vaccine, am I listening to Dr. David Gannon, who is a PhD in physical education, or am I listening to Dr. David Gannon, who is a PhD in microbiology? And what sort of strength would we give to the people that we're listening to? We'll then move on to sustainable development and how the world can move towards a sustainable model of development, how we can ensure that people live much longer lives, much more healthy lives, where they achieve their rights and that we don't destroy the planet for the next generations that are to come. Politics and society is very, very interesting. And the assessment, I'll just go through now, it's a project worth 20% and an exam worth 80%. Our fifth and sixth years will usually be together. So the fifth years will get titles. They got them a few weeks ago. Current fifth years, they have 4 action projects to choose. They'll pick one of them. They can work alone if they want, or they can work in groups of up to 5. So it can be group 2, 3, 4, or 5. Then they'll undertake the action in sixth year, the beginning of sixth year, and they write a report about it. The report is presented around this time in sixth year. Um, Very simple to do. We do it over a long period of time, and students generally don't feel under too much pressure to complete that with the way that we have it covered up to now. Our exam is short questions, which is 10%, a case study, which is 30%, and then they will do 2 essays, which are worth 20% each. And the essays are the really important bit, and they're discursive essays where candidates discuss topics and they form an opinion on it, and that should be based on the information that they've covered over the last couple of years and things that they've heard and they've learned. go on to kind of what politics is for, who's it for, and who does it suit. So it really does suit people who listen to the news, who are interested in what's going on, be that locally, nationally, and internationally. They like to know what's going on in the world, and they have strong opinions about what they think is right and what they're wrong. And it's very important, though, that they're willing to change those opinions if the evidence changes. Um, we want people who it will suit. If I say your homework tonight is read this 4 page document, or listen to this podcast, or watch this documentary. If you are, or your son or daughter is a sort of student who, when they hear the words read for homework, means I don't have homework, this really isn't the subject for them, um, because the reading informs our discussion, which comes into class the next day. As I mentioned, we want people with informed opinions to be able to contribute to class, and that helps them develop discursive essays because they're able to argue a point for or against something with people in the class. It's for people who want to make the world a better place, who want to um, make changes that they see the world could be better. It's a very important subject for people to attend. A lot of the work in this is soft learning, as in you sit in the class, we read things, we talk through things, we get nuances. Mm, There's very often no correct answer, that people will just learn things bit by bit.